All right. Hey, what's going on? So, you may have seen I've been talking a lot about the food enjoyment matrix, right? Basically, people look and they're like, when I say I'm eating 5 or 6 burritos a day and I'm staying lean all year round. And, during the original Burrito Boy run back in 2015, when that was created, I lost about 35 pounds eating 5 or 6 burritos daily, right? And so, how does that work? Okay, so number one thing is the biggest, one of the things that pretty much everyone knows is that, it depends on how everyone's heard about calories, right? If you eat too many calories, you will gain body fat, right? Whether you believe it or not, okay? That's a topic for a different day. And in fact, we'll make a separate video about that, but that just comes down to physics. That's very basic physics. You have a simple understanding of physics, you'll understand that that's true, right? But we'll leave that for another day. We're just going to make the assumption that you're willing to accept that, just like you're willing to accept gravity is real. But so let me show you how I actually do that, because when you understand that calories are the most important thing, then you'll begin to understand. Now, here's the biggest thing. If you take away nothing else from here, okay? Unconscious eating is the single biggest reason and problem that is causing obesity and people to be overweight. 73% of the population of America, right? I would argue the other, 27% is not doing much better just because they're skinny or not overweight. But basically, it's unconscious eating that is the problem. We're not aware. That's why we track calories, right? We want to have precision and enjoyment in what we do, and that requires awareness. So one of my favorite quotes, awareness precedes change, right? So that's where, over the years, like the food enjoyment matrix came out of that, because I didn't know, like I had to put my thought process into words, and this is how I think about food, okay? It may look a little complicated, but we're going to break it down, okay? Today, there's two criteria that I look at. One is, what is the impact of calories? So is it low calories or high calories or somewhere in between? Then what is the enjoyment level or satisfaction level? Is it high or low, right? And so that gives us our 4 quadrants. Quadrant 1 is home sweet home. That's where we want to live, which is it's low calories and it's high enjoyment. So that allows us to eat more food. And since it's high enjoyment, it's something that we're going to keep doing for a long time. And then, since it's low calories, we'll be able to stay in a calorie deficit so that we lose weight, right? Now, the thing is, there's not like specific foods that just automatically fit here. You can take pretty much any food that you want and figure out how to move it into quadrant 1. For example, we'll talk about burritos specifically today, okay? Burritos are typically high calorie and high enjoyment. So burritos live up here most of the time, the way that most people make them. But if you begin to make your own burritos, you can move this guy into quadrant 1. And I'm going to show you how I do that. Now, the thing is, obviously, you're going to have to change. You're going to have to, if one is you got to weigh how much how much food you're putting into it, which is not that difficult, by the way. And B, you got to have a basic understanding of cooking and seasoning, and you'll be able to make it taste amazing, right? Because most of the time what people do is they'll cook something and then they'll make a bunch of it and it just sucks and they end up throwing it away. So which is why the typical foods, right, that are fat loss foods, like bland chicken and boiled chicken, or yams and sweet potatoes and broccoli and tilapia, it's not that those foods actually taste bad. It's just that you probably don't have the skill set to make them taste good. And so you make a whole bunch and it tastes gross. And, so now, yeah, they're low calorie, but they're also low enjoyment. So you end up throwing them away, right? Ever done that? You made a bunch of chicken and then you're like, oh, this is gross, and you throw it away. But even those foods, you can move them into quadrant one. Like the way that I make chicken, like I'm totally fine with grilling up some chicken and then the way that I make fries. So my potatoes, I don't just eat, stinky boiled potato. I make fries. You have an air fryer, you can make phenomenal fries. And now all of a sudden, the same ingredients, chicken and potato, are quadrant one, high enjoyment, right? And so that's what we want to do. We want to live as much as possible in quadrant one, okay? And so I'm going to show you how I do that for my burritos. And so I'll give you an example, okay? And by the way, this is what I do in for clients. Like this is the Strong Body Blueprint. That particular coaching program is basically me helping you set up your quadrant one foods, okay? I walk you through it. We do it together. We get on 2 calls. We talk on one. I get as much information as possible. I go and I build all of your quadrant one foods, and then come back and we have a second call and we dive into that and allow you to basically then go and execute. So because if you have this understanding and you can move your foods in, and you think like this, and you can move your foods into quadrant one, and these are foods that you want to eat every day, and then you can eat them every day, you're golden, right? Then you're not going to stop. You're not going to quit. Because that's the thing, is like people try to make themselves do things that suck, and there's only so long that lasts. And then they run into an emotional problem or event, and then they basically throw all that away, right? Because that stuff doesn't taste good anyway. So anytime you have a challenging scenario, like the last thing you want to do is eat a bunch of stinky chicken, right? So anyways, that's a conversation for another day. Let's take a look at my guy. Shout out Mike Yanda, killing it. Master of quadrant one foods, by the way. Okay, so this is actually from today. So we see the burritos in here, okay? Because the way that I add foods is I add them by ingredient, because it makes it super simple and easy to track. Like people think it's so complicated, it's not. What are my main ingredients that have calories in my burrito? I got my chicken. I got my potato right there. So by the way, secret, if you don't have potato in your burrito, you're missing out big time. And then I got tortillas down here, okay? And obviously, so, we'll actually remove this. So we got a glass of whiskey here. We'll take that out. Yes, I had a glass of whiskey. Or I planned to, so I already had it inputted. We'll take out these metrics bars. We'll actually just put that for later. And so one thing you'll notice, I enter my alcohol as carbs. That's also I'll have a different video explaining that, but metrics bars, 2 of them. Okay, so now we can just look at my 2 burritos over here. And so I entered 8.5 ounces of chicken, 2 ounces of potato, and 2 flour tortillas. Pretty solid right there. 42 grams of carbs, 6 fats, 65 grams of protein, total of 500 calories, 2 very filling burritos. And that is how it's done. Now, if you look at this, 65 grams of protein, this is how I was eating 4 or 5 burritos. That right there is like 120, 130 grams of protein. And you're only at about 1,000 calories. So you literally would have another 1,000 calories to do whatever you want, which is why you see a donut up here, right? And then you see the alcohol down here, because there's room. I'm accounting for it. It's not that you can't eat it. It's you got to know how to account for it, right? And so that's an example here of how you utilize the food enjoyment matrix, okay? And so I'll be continuing to go deeper into the food enjoyment matrix and how you actually make it real. But if you found this helpful, let me know. If you want help, you can go and take this and do this on your own, right? But a lot of people, they want my help in actually implementing this and integrating this into their life. And so that's what the strong body blueprint is. And then of course, like my regular clients, my VIP clients, that's what we're working on, right? And how to go from, so there's 3 phases of the food enjoyment matrix, and how to systematically go from phase 1 to phase 3, which is basically, phase 3 is like a cheat code, and that's where, like, you know, people who have been in the program, or like for myself, I can literally eat anything I want anywhere on the planet with information of calories, without information. And so like people think it's magic or genetics or metabolism. They just don't understand the inner workings of what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing, the food enjoyment matrix, right? And everything that you learn in phase 1 allows the fancy stuff of phase 3 to actually happen. You can't go on vacation and just not eat anything wherever you want and still stay lean if you don't have the fundamentals down that we build into phase 1 of the food enjoyment matrix. All right. If you have questions, let me know. Hopefully this was helpful. If it was, I would truly appreciate a like, a comment, and a share. Like I said, if you have questions, reach out. You can find me at ranbeer.sangera on YouTube. On YouTube, but on Instagram. And yeah, I'll see you later.